Summer is a time to rest and reset from the school year, or it's supposed to be, but when your kid is an athlete, that rest might be hard to come by. So when commitments to practice get in the way of, say, the family vacation, what do you do? My next guest says that first, the parents, children, and even coaches need to identify their values. Sports psychology coach Dr. Ashley Kutcher is here to explain. It's great to see you. I heard some producers even stopping you in the hall and saying, so glad you're taking this on because I'm trying to schedule my vacation around my kid and it's still hard. Talk to me, Ashley, about this idea of values first. You say that's where we all should begin.
Yeah, so values are our directions and then goals are our destinations. And so the reason we need to identify our values as parents, coaches, and athletes is we want to make sure we get the right directions to the right destinations, right? And if we don't do that, like you're talking about, if the coaches have conflicting values and goals from the athletes or parents, then we might end up in all different places.
All different directions. And summer burnout, you acknowledge, is real. Kids need a break.
Yeah, so with kids, right, they've just been in school for a long time, maybe in their sport for a long time, and so summer can be a really nice time to have a real kind of factory reset.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's a good time to get ahead in their sports.
Sure.
Burnout is also interesting from the parents' perspective because parents now have all their kids who are in school at home and they may become the taxi drivers going from one place to another, so it's important to figure out that balance between do I rest and recover, or do I push a little bit harder to get ahead?
I was telling you, not an athlete, but a dancer, which we could make that argument. I'm not
we
super passionate about it, but yeah, okay. And I didn't realize it, but looking back, my mom was really brilliant about counter-programming in the summer. We did not dance. It was our thing, but we did not dance in the summer. We did swim, or we did tennis, right? Or we did something else. Is there wisdom in that, in counter-programming kids to kind of mix it up, not just for their own interest level, but even their psychology?
Definitely. So in the research, it's really prevalent, this early specialization. So a lot of parents and athletes think I have to do my sport year round from the time I'm 6 years old.
Yeah.
But that can lead to physical burnout, which could be, you're overtraining, you don't have enough time to recover, your performance plateaus, or the emotional burnout where you're getting more irritable, you don't feel, ready to go, you might lose interest. And so if we overtrain, we're doing the same thing all year round, and anybody's going to burn out, right? So we want to make sure we're watching out for that.
All right, so back to the value conversation. Once we've identified our values, you say those values, give us some examples of values. What might lead out in this conversation?
Yeah, so one helpful way to figure out what do you value, because there's lots of things that we value, is you might ask yourself, so let's say take an athlete, imagine they're at the end of their high school career, right? They're imagining themselves looking back and thinking, what matters the most to me? What values would I have wanted to embody? Or for parents, imagining their kid is now at the end of their career or that stage, what matters the most to me as a parent? What kind of parent do I want to be? So sometimes just taking that, future perspective, looking back, can help us identify, do I value friendship the most? Do I value competition and learning? Do I value praise and wanting to look cool? And all of those are realistic. People value all of those things. But then we need to identify what matters the most to me, because sometimes they can be competing values. Like, let's say an athlete who's playing on a club team and they value friendship, but they also value competition and learning. If one is higher than the other, then that's going to determine how they act, in their team outside of that.
I love that you put an evaluation, and a worthy one, on the actual sport itself, because sometimes we hear the word value and we think intrinsically, right? We think that it has to be this noble, right, characteristic, but there is, nobility and worth in pursuing a good sport and being great at it. So once we've identified those values, you say, we use those to build goals.
Right, yeah. So what happens a lot of times is we make plans. We're like, here's a summer vacation. Here, I'm going to do this club thing. I'm going to do these summer camps. But if they don't line up with our goals, then there can be this disconnect. Within the athlete, they might feel additional pressure, or for the parents, they might be frustrated. I'm planning all these fun things for you, and the kid is like, well, I just want to be working on my sport. Or I'm planning all these things for you, and I actually just need to take a break and to reset. So if we identify our values first, then we can figure out what are our plans and goals that are going to align with what we care about the most.
Well said, well said. And really, from a coach's perspective, if we were to get real about it, they can't make an allowance for every single vacation. So there has to be the requirement